Hey all, welcome back to the podcast. I'm your host, Vashi Sarah, and you are tuned in to another episode of All the Things, where we literally talk about all the things. So let's talk game theory. Do y'all know what it is? What the benefits are? What society says about it today? Well, the game theory was developed in 1944, if I remember correctly. Let me look it up real quick. It was developed in 1944. Correct. Yes. So essentially, for those of you who are listening and don't know what this game theory is and what it means, essentially, in basic layman terms, it's your actions affects my life. The decisions that you make, the actions that you take, the moves that you make affects each player in the game. So if we put that in context, contextualize it to society today, and speak it or say it the way Gen Z probably would say it is, you doing you affects me. Me doing me affects you. This theory was developed, and it deals with a scientific and mathematical equations. And I don't know how these geniuses came up with it, but the theory is correct. And how they developed a science behind it, it's beyond me. But they did. And they were absolutely right. The decisions I make affects not just me. It affects my husband, it affects Sarah, it affects my family, and the list goes on. And I'm not talking about what I choose to eat today. I'm not talking about whether I drink decaf or caffeinated or an avocado toast or versus eggs and bacon. I'm not talking about that, which granted, your diet does play a role. It's a part of the decision making. But I'm talking about the just living life, the big things in life, the big decisions that you're making, the job, the career switch, having a child, and allowing people to visit and come to your home, allowing people to be a part of your community. Sadly, this game theory has slowly shifted and been removed from culture's language, culture's habit, culture's lifestyle. We've become so used to living alone. And I would say that's attributed to COVID. I think COVID influenced that greatly. But we don't do life with people as much as we should. And we don't realize is that our greatest hedge, when it comes down to it, our greatest hedge is having relationships. That's one of our greatest protection. 7 Weeks is America's pro-life coffee. It's premium coffee delivered right to your doorsteps. All roast available, and it's absolutely delicious. Start your morning off with 7 Weeks coffee. It's not just drinking coffee, it's drinking coffee with a purpose. Use my code VASHTI10 for 10% off your first order. That is VASHTI10 for 10% off your first order. The thing that we lean and crave more than anything are relationships. And that's common. Why do people, for the most part, suicidal rates, a lot of it is influenced by loneliness. I mean, some of it is addictions, is driven by shame and guilt, but loneliness, that internal loneliness. You might be someone that's in a crowd and you feel like the loneliest person on this planet. And it's a choice. Suicide is a choice. Living life on your own is a choice. But society has influenced and somewhat promoted loneliness. And that's just my observation. With this whole push towards technology, we just thrive and live on technology. The first thing you do is you're on your phone. The last thing you see is your phone. Whether you were scrolling on social media, sending in that last email, it's your phone, your device. And your device has blocked off the relationships, true, meaningful, one-on-one relation with other people. Everything is transactional now. Everything. Don't believe me? Food. We Uber it. We don't even have one-on-one conversations with people. If we run out of eggs, when's the last time have you knocked at your neighbor's door and be like, hey, ran out of eggs. Do you have one to spare? Ran out of milk. Hey, do you have extra flour, sugar? And that's obviously the extreme would be depending on your neighbor for everything, but everything's transactional now. I'll just Uber it. I'll DoorDash it. I'll Walmart delivery. I'll Target delivery, whatever store you decide to shop or use as your main grocery store. Everything is transactional now. Relationships have quickly, I'm not going to say slowly on this one, has quickly been removed from human connection. We don't have that connection. We Instacart everything. We don't ask for help. We don't want to be a burden. And I think culture influences that greatly. And again, I'm not saying that technology is awful. I think technology is a beautiful thing. It connects you with people all over the world. I mean, for crying out loud, I wouldn't be able to have this podcast without technology. I love looking at the statistics. I love looking at locations, the touch points across the world. Indonesia, Belize, my home country. You have Eurasia, India, Australia. I'm like, I don't know who these Australians are, but they're listening. I love technology and what it can do to further the gospel message, to promote businesses, to allow you to reach certain touch points in life. But the negative part of that is we've relied on social media. We've relied on technology so much that I don't want to be a burden to them. I'll just DoorDash it. I don't want to be a burden, so I'll just AI my questions, or I'll just Google my symptoms and see what I can do to help me. And what we don't see in doing that is it's me focused, and this game theory of my actions, my decisions, my choices affects others. We don't realize that we're pushing people away from us. And we are living in this bubble of my life and meism, that long term, that affects your ability to be social. That affects your ability to communicate with people. That affects your ability to relate with others. And then there's this movement of social anxiety. And I'm not saying that that's not a real thing. It is probably and most definitely a real thing for many people, but a lot of it are the choices that we make. I watched this video a couple days ago, and this girl got arrested by a cop, and she was talking about how, she identifies as something. And then she identifies as something, and, the cop's like, hey, it looks like you had a little bit too much to drink tonight. You didn't pass the breathalyzer, and try to have her walk. And then suddenly she flipped the script, and she went from being calm, these are the things I identify as, to abrasive and almost aggressive, and telling the cop, I think you're being a little bit too harsh on me and aggressive with me with your approach. Granted, the cop cam is on, and this is not a stage thing. This is real life. I know there are a lot of stage stuff circulating too, but he was very calm, and he's like, well, ma'am, I apologize if you think I'm being abrasive or aggressive. I'm just following what I need to do. I do need you to pass this test in order to whatever. And then she flipped the script one more time, and she said, I just need you to know that I have social anxiety. And the cop's response, which I think was comical, and he was trying to make light of the moment, not at all by any means mocking this drunk female. But he said, yeah, me too. Currently, I have social anxiety too. But it's this thing that we just claim on ourselves, and we use in situations, and we use in different circumstances. And for some, it's a scapegoat. I have social anxiety, so I don't want to be there. I have social anxiety, I can't do this. But for many others, it's a choice of you constantly removing yourself from community, constantly wanting to do life alone, that when you're placed in situations where you have to be around people, you don't even know how to act. You don't know how to relate. You don't know how to be. You don't know how to respond. And that boils down to society's just full on excitement and push for everything done virtual. I'm the first to say I love that I can work virtually. I love it because I get to be home with my baby and with my husband. But you can get stir crazy being home all day. There's a reason why depression and anxiety spiked in 2020, 2021, spiked significantly. It's not because of COVID, this actual illness. It's because of we were told we had to shut our doors, hide from people, be 6 feet apart, 7 feet apart, 8 feet apart. I really don't know how, I can't remember how apart we needed to be. We needed to wear masks. So hide your smile, hide the part of you, your eyes and your smile are the part of you that welcomes people in. So hide your smile, that invitation for, hey, I want to be in relation with you. And we closed our doors to society and we said, I will do life alone. And 2020 came and went. 2021 came and went. 2022, 2023, 2024. And some people are still stuck in the shutdown. Some people are still stuck in isolation and they don't know how to get out. I think it was wild back in 2022. I think it was 2022. Yes. Jared and I went to a retirement event for a friend of ours. And we went there. We said hi, did our rounds, said hi to people we haven't met in a while or haven't seen in a while, especially since COVID. And one of the individuals that we met, he mentioned, oh, this is the first time I've been out of my house. And I thought he was just joking around, and Jared was like, oh, ha ha ha. And he was like, yeah, COVID just really scared me. And Jared was like, yeah, it was scary for a lot of people. And we didn't really, we thread the line when it comes to talking about politics, COVID, because for some people it's a very touchy topic. For others, it's whatever. And I would hate to come in arguments, big unnecessary arguments over my personal convictions and what I believe and what I stand for. There's certain things I will vocally talk on, and probably I will talk about COVID and the narratives that were pushed that were false. But that's a podcast episode for another time. But I don't know how one thing led to another in that conversation, and he admitted legitimately that was the first time since March of 2020 did he leave his house. And I think it was June or July that the retirement party was. So over 2 years, he hadn't seen people. I mean, he said, he was working virtually and he talked to family virtually, ordered all his groceries virtually. But he didn't step out his door or his front door at all. Sat on his back porch. But he didn't leave his house. And I think a lot of us are stuck in that. Maybe you have left your house. Maybe you have left and have, quote unquote, maybe lived since COVID, but you haven't truly lived. You've adapted that isolation mentality from that time, from 2020, and you're still living in 2020. You don't want to bother people. You don't want to be a burden. And relationships are just too hard. But it's quite the opposite. It's a gift. I find it joy being able to help people. I find it joy when someone's like, hey, can you bring food for this party? Absolutely. I would love to do that. I find it joy any opportunity I am given to help someone. But unfortunately, we've stripped that away from people. We don't even give people the opportunity to help. We don't even give people the opportunity to lend a helping hand because we believed this lie that we're a burden. There's an easier way. We can just Instacart it. And we've isolated ourselves entirely and removed relationships, removed relational contact from our life. Pretty depressing, isn't it? I mean, that's how we should look at it. We should look at it as depressing and we shouldn't want it. We should desire relationships. As humans, we were created to be relational. I mean, if you believe in the gospel message, if you believe in Jesus and Genesis, you read from the beginning, man wasn't created to be alone. So God looked at Adam, and from Adam, he created Eve. So what I'm trying to say is, in all 15 minutes of my rant here, is we need people. We need each other. We can't do life alone, no matter how much we think we can. No matter how much we strive to do life alone. The game theory, while is a mathematical, scientific theory, it's actually biblical. Your decisions, the decisions that you make to live life alone affects others. Even though you think opposite because you're choosing to live life alone and not do anything at all with others, you not doing anything, you secluding yourself is actually affecting the people around you. And what you might not realize is affecting the people closest to you, your family and your friends. So my challenge to you, if you're still living in 2020, to get out, find help, find someone to talk to and live again. Your life is worth living. Every breath that you have on this earth, which, I mean, you probably can't even count them, but every breath that you take is a sign that your life matters. Your life is intentional by God, and He wanted you here on this earth. So don't do life alone. Go knock on your neighbor's door for sugar. Go knock on your neighbor's door and ask for help. Quit thinking that you're a burden. And let's get back to being relational beings who, where hanging out with someone is more than just scrolling over dinner, Netflix, playing video games. Let's be relational humans. That's what we were called to be. So I hope you all enjoyed today's episode. Hopefully it didn't come across as a rant, but it's something I'm passionate about. I'm passionate about relationships. I'm passionate about one-on-one relationships. Being in community with people is important. Otherwise, you'll just live a very lonely life. And gosh, I don't wish that on anyone. Every Life is America's pro-life diaper and wipes company. My family absolutely loves them. There's no harsh toxins. There's no chemicals. It's perfectly safe for your little one. We love Every Life, their mission, their vision, everything about them. Use my code VASHTY10 for 10% off your first order. That is VASHTY10 for 10% off your first order. So like, share, comment, do all the things. Send this episode to someone who might need that extra push and encouragement to get out of the isolation. Challenge themselves to move on, move forward, and just do that thing. I will see y'all next episode. Like, share, comment, do all the things. See y'all next time.